I've coached cyclists for over a decade, from beginners to World Tour pros, and no matter the level, the same 5 mistakes keep destroying performance over and over again. They're mistakes that I've made myself, and every time I see an athlete repeat them, it's painful because they're so easily fixed. Today, I'm sharing 5 real stories from athletes who came to me stuck, frustrated, or watching their numbers plateau, all because of blind spots killing their performance. If you recognize yourself in any of these stories, good news. Each one ends with a practical fix that you can use immediately. Mark raced seriously in his younger years, and he stepped away from cycling and then returned in 2020. By early 2024, he'd built up impressive fitness, racing strong and finishing 13th in his age group at a grueling race. Cycling was central to his life again until one disastrous bike fit nearly ended it all. In May 2024, Mark decided to invest in a professional bike fit, trusting this would further improve his comfort and performance. But the opposite actually happened. The fitter made a drastic adjustment, raising his saddle without thoroughly considering Mark's specific injury history and biomechanics. Almost immediately, Mark's existing lower back issues flared dramatically. Severe disc damage returned, his sciatic nerve became painfully inflamed, and soon he could barely walk without numbness or tingling down his leg and into his foot. Mark's story highlights uncomfortable truths about the bike fit industry. Truths that many cyclists prefer not to acknowledge. Many athletes think of bike fit as precise science, yet 2 different fitters can recommend completely opposite positions, each claiming theirs is correct. Mark's experience makes it crystal clear. The stakes around bike fit are high. Poor adjustments aren't just minor inconveniences. They can destroy your season, derail your fitness, or worse, threaten your long-term health. When Mark came to me, my priority wasn't to become another conflicting voice offering just bike fit advice. Instead, we concentrated entirely on rebuilding his physical health and strength. We collaborated closely with his physio to carefully rehabilitate his damaged discs and relieve his sciatic symptoms. Mark gradually returned to structured riding, first with cautious Zone 2 work, closely monitoring his physical comfort and responding accordingly. Our goal was restoring Mark's confidence and strength, patiently rebuilding fitness without rushing to ensure his recovery was solid and sustainable. Today, Mark is back riding consistently and without pain, but his lesson remains essential. Never outsource the responsibility for your comfort entirely. Question everything. Bike fit matters deeply, but how you approach it and who you trust matters even more. Simon, a 38-year-old business owner and father of 2, is determined to peak for his big hometown fondo. Last year, Simon was training hard. He was fitting early morning intervals in, afternoon gym sessions, and family time around an intense work schedule. He was committed, he was structured and disciplined, but something still wasn't right. Looking back, Simon clearly pinpointed the problem himself. He wrote to me recently and said, "A big learning since stopping structured training is realizing just how fatigued I always felt going into hard sessions." Simon was trying to fit sessions into every available gap, but afternoon gym sessions and early morning intervals left no space for genuine recovery. Constant fatigue stacked up week after week, and no amount of pushing harder was going to break through that wall. Simon and I knew we needed a different approach this time. Instead of trying to squeeze more into his schedule, we have deliberately scaled things back. We reduced his structured bike workouts to just 4 targeted sessions per week. And crucially, we moved his strength training into 2 dedicated morning slots, replacing bike rides to eliminate those late night sessions that disrupted sleep and sabotaged recovery. It's still very early in the process, and Simon's A race isn't until January, but the shift we've made already seems to be paying off in how he feels. By learning together and making these deliberate proactive adjustments, now Simon's layering the foundation to finally reach his full potential without sacrificing the balance he needs at home and work. Madison is a dedicated rider from South Africa, passionate about cycling and ready to level up. For 2 years, he'd been following structured training given by a pro friend, and it felt good initially, but gradually he became frustrated and uncertain. Despite consistency, his progress slowed and doubt crept in. Madison's sessions had become a confusing mix. Short intervals during the week, long weekend rides, some recent cross-training thrown in. He was doing the work but felt completely in the dark about how well it was working. And he explained this to me clearly when he said, I wasn't getting feedback. I didn't understand what the numbers were telling me about my body, my strengths, my limits. Honestly, I didn't even know if my training was effective. This uncertainty drained his motivation and it left him questioning if he could ever achieve his bigger goals. When Madison reached out, we both knew his first big challenge wasn't just improving fitness, it was creating clarity. Here's exactly what we did first. Step 1, we immediately set up his data in Training Peaks so we could see what was going on. With all his past sessions in one place, we could accurately evaluate his current fitness and identify clear strengths and weaknesses. Step 2, testing for clarity. By scheduling initial tests, we established accurate baselines and began shaping a clear structured profile of Madison as a cyclist, his endurance ceiling, his threshold power, and how his body responded to different types of efforts. Step 3, building a clear, structured annual plan. We pinpointed exactly what events Madison wanted to target, including ambitious, long-distance challenges that he was hesitant to commit to earlier. With clarity around his capability, he felt confident putting these big goals into the calendar. It's still early days in this process, but Madison's biggest early breakthrough wasn't his numbers, it was clarity. He now has a structured training approach, clear feedback on what he's achieving each session, and most importantly, a growing confidence in his ability to tackle those previously daunting long-distance events. Andy was naturally explosive, great at short, punchy efforts and quick climbs, but any ride that stretched beyond 3 hours was his undoing. He'd start strong, but inevitably fade, losing power when it mattered most. When Andy signed up for his first long Grand Fondo and a challenging sportif, he realized durability was no longer optional. He had to fix it fast. To help Andy transition from explosive short effort rider to long distance performer, we introduced structured Zone 2 endurance rides alongside regular 15-minute threshold intervals to build fatigue resistance. We also focused heavily on his fueling strategy. Crucially, we dialed in structured recovery periods and longer taper weeks, teaching Andy to value rest as high as intensity. I always felt competitive on short, punchy efforts, but long hills or sustained high-speed stretches wore me down badly. I'd end up losing big chunks of power by the top, but the long Zone 2 rides and sustained 15-minute climbing intervals we started doing made an immediate difference. Within 2 months, Andy's late ride power had jumped up, and he not only finished his first long events, he thrived, transforming into a durable cyclist capable of maintaining high power deep into big days. Alex is an incredibly driven cyclist, one of those athletes coaches love to train because he brings endless enthusiasm. After almost a year of focused training, he felt strong and confident, targeting major events with big ambitions. But during a critical qualifying race, disaster struck. At nearly 70 kilometers per hour, he crashed badly. Despite severe injuries, initially, he thought it would just be bruises and scrapes, and his first instinct was to immediately push through. His enthusiasm was commendable, but his desire to rush back into training was compounding the injury. Soon after, he discovered the real damage, a pelvic fracture, a much more serious injury that would take weeks, not days, to heal. Alex's eagerness often made him his own worst enemy. Every time he felt slightly better, he'd enthusiastically suggest ambitious blocks of training, but his body repeatedly told him that he was pushing too soon, and he learnt the hard way that coming back strong means coming back smart. Together, we shifted our entire approach. Instead of rushing back, we carefully structured Alex's return around slow, deliberate progression. Guided by professionals and physiotherapists, he fully embraced core strength and glute activation exercises, which rapidly improved his condition. Eventually, he began short, structured rides of only 1 to 2 hours in duration, closely monitoring his body's response, taking each step with patience. By learning from his mistakes and managing his enthusiasm, Alex began rebuilding sustainably. The result? A clear pathway back to full strength, fewer setbacks, and a much healthier, stronger return to his big cycling goals. Every story you've just heard is from a real rider. People just like you and me who love cycling and want to get better. Each of these problems held them back, time pressure, confusing training plans, weak durability, stubborn injuries, and misguided bike fits. If you've faced any of these same frustrations, remember, they're common, but they're also completely solvable. The key is clarity, structure, patience, and learning from your mistakes, yours and others. My hope today is that one of these stories resonated deeply enough for you to avoid a costly setback or breakthrough through your current plateau. Because at the end of the day, cycling isn't just about the watts that we push. It's about enjoying the journey and staying healthy along the way. If you're stuck or unsure what to do next, check out the links below for resources or reach out directly. Let's keep you rolling strong, feeling good, and staying clear of avoidable mistakes.